Shut up and sit down.
Welcome into the Hall of Fame Dynasty podcast, guys. I am excited. Let's fucking go today. I am stoked for what we are ready to talk about, and unfortunately we are down one member this week, but I still am joined by my co-host Chris. Chris, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty stoked about. I was about to ask you how you're doing, but you just told us. So I'm pretty
great.
stoked. I'm pretty stoked about it tonight too. This will be our first Saturday night podcast, or first
Midweek
second
review.
podcast. Yeah, our first midweek review of this podcast. So should be fun. I think it'll be fun.
Oh, I'm stoked, and especially after my Nationals are coming off a
Oh,
World
my
Series win. I mean, let's go, boys. The fact that you said it wasn't going to happen, yet
I
it
did.
did.
I
The
did
fact
not
that
think
you-
it was going to. I didn't.
You guaranteed a win for the Astros that night, and that's when I knew that they were screwed, because you guaranteed it. It wasn't just the fact that you said it's possible to happen. You said it was going to.
Yeah.
Any
and
words on that end?
That I don't. I shouldn't have guaranteed it, because I lost quite a bit doing that. I even lost a trade doing that.
Yes, you did. Man, it was such a crazy game though. It wasn't a blowout. It wasn't.
Yeah.
The fact that we had multiple lead changes was fun. You had the Nationals score first, then the Astros retaliated and put up 2 runs in the bottom of the first, and it was a good back and forth. I was kind of surprised to see Greinke pulled so early, only at 80 pitches, when we've seen a lot of the starters go well past that this postseason. But it's a brave call by AJ Hinch of the Astros. I'm not too surprised, because of the fact that he was getting to the third time through the lineup, and Greinke, he was on though. He was pinpoint location and really, really well. So that's going to be a big question this whole offseason, and we'll just kind of have to wait and see what happens for next year.
Well, and the Astros were up 2-0 until the 7th inning, towards the end of the game, and then after that, everything just went out of control after that. And the Nationals scored three in that inning, and then they went on to score another one in the 8th inning, and then the 9th inning, of course, they scored the 2 that basically ended it. In the 9th inning, the Astros down 4 innings. By then I didn't think they had a chance. I had hopes, but I mean, it was just, I don't know, it's just crazy. I don't know. Wow.
It really was. And I was just, the fact that Howie Kendrick was the guy to really put the dagger into the Astros at that point by hitting that home run off the foul pole and securing those runs was exactly what they needed. I mean, you really can't say much else about that. So
yeah, I mean, like we said, it was just crazy night, and up to the 7th inning, I was like, I've got this locked in. The Astros are going to win. They're going to be the World Series champions, and I'll be all right. And then the 7th inning, in the 8th inning and 9th inning, I get screwed.
I was absolutely sweating that first while, though. The fact
first 7
that
innings?
You had Yeah, the fact that Zach Greinke was absolutely insane. He was getting everyone to hit into soft contact, ground balls to him, which he was fielding absolutely perfectly, no question about it. He made it look so easy. He made me feel like I could go out there and do it. But then, obviously, Will Smith went out there and gave up the runs that he did, and then Ozuna did the same thing. And I was actually surprised that we didn't see Garrett Cole come into the game. I know he's only doing it on 2 days rest, and they wanted to get him in on a clean inning, but
Yeah.
I can't blame AJ Hinch for that. It's something he hasn't done since, I believe, his freshman year of college. So it's been God, at least 10 years since he's done performed in relief like that.
You were talking about Garrett Cole not starting, and I understand it would have been 2 days, but still, you're in a game 7. You're going into a game 7. Everything's on the line. He'd had couple of months rest after that. I think you have to start him. I mean, that's just me.
Yeah, the fact that AJ Hinch's excuse after the game was he wanted to use him in if they were winning, but at that point you just want to get outs because you never know what's going to happen. But it is what it is. The Washington Nationals brought a championship back to DC just like Bryce Harper predicted at the beginning of the season. Whether he's on that, the fact that continues to live amazes me. But before we move on, I've got actually 2 quick tidbits that I found that were really interesting. So obviously we know the Nationals got off to a really slow start this year. Their worst point in terms of winning percentage was when they were 19-31, which is a .380 winning percentage. Terrible, below 400. But the only teams that they were better than record-wise at that point were the Royals, Orioles, and Nationals. The Tigers even had a better record than they were, and we all know the Tigers are tanking at this point. Yeah, the Marlins, Orioles, and Royals, they really weren't a fully tanking team, but they were just bad.
These were 3 awful teams.
And we knew they were going to be bad. But the fact that the Nationals were down there with them and still came back throughout the entire season and won the World Series.
Yeah, I have to say I didn't expect. I remember when they were at that 19 and 20 wins. I was like, there's no chance that they're gonna come back and even get a wild card spot because it just seemed like it was all the Atlanta Braves for the whole division, and it seemed like they were gonna get in, and nobody else in that division was gonna get the wild card. But it was wrong.
Yeah, the Braves were good. The Mets were good. The Phillies were pretty decent at that point. You had Zach Eflin playing well. You had Aaron Nola struggling, but that offense was playing pretty well. And, I mean, as much talent was on the Nationals roster, a lot of people counted them out super early. And if you were to look at that point, their chance to win the World Series was 1.8%.
Yeah, and that seems about right, you know. But it's insane.
Yeah,
absolutely. It really is.
And then the last thing on them, so throughout this entire postseason, they won 5 elimination games. So 5 win or go home games. They won them all this postseason, and they trailed in every single one of those games. None of those games did they hold a lead throughout the entire game. So they had a very tough road to go through, whether it was the Astros at 107 wins, the Dodgers at 104, and the Cardinals at 91. That's a tough road to win the World Series
I think their road to the World Series was the least likely, and especially to be the champions. I mean, just to get to the World Series alone, I thought it was pretty unlikely. But to get to be the champion, it seemed almost impossible. I mean, you don't see it that often. A wild card team, because game 1 they were playing an elimination game, won it, and then of course beat the Cardinals, and then whoever they played in the NL finals.
Then they played the Dodgers, and then they played the Cardinals in the NLCS, and then obviously Astros in the World Series. And they had to win the winner go home game against the Brewers as well, which was a part of that 5-game win streak.
And when they beat the Dodgers, it was like, they're a really good team because they beat them in 6 games, and what they did was pretty remarkable.
The fact that the Dodgers dominated all season and did what they did and got, in my view, trounced by the Nationals. It was a good beating. I mean, it was a very good series, but then they were able to carry that in against the Cardinals.
Yeah, there was points in time in the series where you were like, you could have been like, that, especially when the Nationals went up 2-0. I thought, well, it's over. It's. I didn't say it publicly, but I was like, it did feel like it was over because they dominated both of those games, and then Game 3 comes along, and then the trend continues with the road team winning. Yep, and then it keeps on and on.
Road teams.
But yeah, that was a crazy World Series.
It was the first finals where every game was won by the road team in any sport, and that's
exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah,
but that's history right there. So there won't be much baseball talk. I'm sad to see the baseball season finally end, but we're, I think, down to 101 days until pitchers
no, not
and
really.
catchers
I mean,
report,
you got
so
what,
it's not that
3.5
far
months. So. but we have so many other NFL, NHL, NBA. There's so much other stuff going on. By the time the World Series, by the time pitchers and catchers come back, it won't seem like it was that long.
Oh, absolutely, and it feels. I know we get busier during this time of year, but it doesn't ever feel like it. So let's actually move over to the NFL, like you just mentioned. We've got a lot to talk about there. This is our first preview week. It's been forever since we've done it. Hell, since I've done it, and I'm excited to do it. It's going to be something different. We don't have the visuals as always, but I feel like we can talk more about the actual games themselves and why we think they're going to break down the way we think they will. And we're always going to go from obviously the biggest blowouts to what we believe will be the game of the week or the closest game. So let's start with the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins. Honestly, okay, he's Max
he
sending
notices
us.
Our mess.
Yeah, he's saying that he's got his pick for the Chiefs game versus Buffalo. Our game. We'll get to that later.
Who knows?
He's obviously going to pick himself, but we'll get to that in a bit. The Cowboys and the Dolphins, obviously Dolphins lead it at this point 9.6 to 3.6. However, the Dolphins are projected 80 points, where the Dallas Cowboys are looking to break the 200 mark once again this season, and I don't see it really being close. I know you and I talked off of the podcast, Chris, setting up the show, that we were wondering why the points were so low for the Miami. We know they were selling, but they currently have, they have one starting running back. They have no quarterback in. They do have all of their wide receivers in, and then two of their flex. So he has no quarterback. Only one running back. It's not a good strategy to usually try and win.
I do agree with you
it's a different strategy, I'll say that much.
He was not to say he was going to win. He had no chance in this game anyway. Dallas pretty much number 1 or 2 in the league against a bottom feeder. I won't call them bottom feeders, but they're middle of the pack. But he does have. He could have put Jason Witten in his lineup or Sterling Shepard, and who knows, he might before tomorrow. I don't think so, but even if he does, he doesn't have a chance. So that would be there's really not too much to say about this one,
right? And we know he was having a fire sale, looking to improve elsewhere, but no lineup setting obviously is counting for an L. You're hoping for it. So let's move on up over to Lambeau Field, where the Green Bay Packers are going to be hosting the Denver Broncos. And the Green Bay Packers got off to a decent start, not a real hot start, with Matt Breida and Larry Fitzgerald combining for 19 total points. You're going to need some more blow-ups other than those two. I wouldn't consider those explosive games at all. You're going to need something if you plan on taking down Denver. Though they are relying on Thielen and Devontae Adams, who are both I know Adams is unlikely to play this week. Adam Thielen is currently...
He is.
If I can find it here, if it'll pull up. I believe he's questionable for this week, though, against Kansas City. Yeah, with a hamstring. Yeah, so he's a possible play. Even then, I think the Broncos have enough depth on their team to overtake the Packers. What say you, Chris?
Projections now. Even if he played nobody and lost both of them, according to the projections, he would still win by 10, 20 points. So I don't think so. But if Breida was a good start, because I think if you get more than 10 points out of Breida, you're doing pretty good. You really are. And Larry Fitzgerald was a downer for him. You pretty much needed 10 plus out of Fitzgerald too, but he's not off to the worst start. It could have been worse.
Oh, absolutely. We've seen much worse starts on Thursday Night Football, and it's the worst way to start your fantasy football week just because of the fact that it
Yeah.
feels like you're in a hole automatically no matter who you're playing at that point. So he's got some decent plays. I like Damian Williams. Obviously,
But he's
any
gonna
part of
need a
that
lot
Kansas
more.
City Chiefs offense is helpful, but Williams is boomer bust. He's gonna need a lot of boom out of Jonu Smith and Tyrell Williams. He's got some decent matchups, but I really think Denver pulls this one off. I'm gonna give them probably about a 15-point lead in the end. I think that's what they win by. I know they're projected higher, but we'll have to see what kind of fill-ins that
I think they're
Broncos
going to
have
fall
pull out
short
when it
of
comes
that
to
187
Adams
they're
and
projected to
Thielen.
win by. I would say I think they're going to, or not. They're not going to win by 187. That's not what the projections say. But I think they're going to. Yeah, I think they're going to. I think they're in the range of
Right,
160
that
to
187
170.
total.
I have not looked at their to see who they can play yet. I'm pulling that up now actually as we speak. He does have Adam Humphries. I mean, a few guys he could play that might get him 6, 7, 8 points. Exactly. So I would say 170.
Yeah, more floor
And I
guys
don't
than
think the
ceiling type
Packers are going to
plays.
get to that 142. Although I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a good day. He's playing that Kansas City defense. I think he's going to probably double what his projections are. So I would say that the Packers are going to score about 130, but I think it's going to be a 40-point margin of victory for Keith's Broncos.
I could see that, and I wouldn't be surprised. But we've got the Broncos moving up to 6-3, still obviously trying to keep pace with the Dallas Cowboys, who we are projecting to go 7-2 at this point.
Yeah,
So
I think this
why don't
is
you
going to be a
introduce the
fun
next
one
one with
as
the
well.
Raiders and the Saints?
Currently, the Saints are projected to lose by 16 points. But he does have some interesting plays. Dak Prescott going against the Giants defense. That could be a pretty good sign for him. And then but the downside is Mark Ingram. He's playing the New England defense, and we know that New England defense has shut down everyone pretty much this season. It's been definitely interesting to say the least about that New England defense. But he has Gallup playing. I think Gallup could get some pretty decent points. And I guess that's pretty much about it. I mean, Jimmy Graham, you never know from week to week. He might get, out.
Yeah, he's a boomer bust type guy, and at this point in his career, and it's sad to
And then
see
we
him
have
almost a ghost of
Raiders
himself to
side,
what he
which
used
has
to be.
even better matchups. I think Derek Carr and Josh Jacobs going against that Detroit defense is a good thing for Chris's Raiders, and then going down the line, he has Mecole Hardman that's not projected to even score 1 point. I would think he's going to score at least 1 point.
That's a hard thing, though. I mean, because the Kansas City Chiefs offense, everybody on that team can score at any point between Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman. I mean, they've got a bunch of fast guys. Sammy Watkins when he's healthy. It's all fast guys, and over the last 4 weeks, Hardman's averaged close to 10 points. It's all 2 catches, 2 catches, 4 catches. It's all really like longer plays for the most part. But I think he gets something as well. It's a Minnesota defense that has struggled at times, especially in the secondary. So we'll see what happens there. But Kittle got him off to a good start and did avoid the serious knee injury at least. He did get 6 receptions for 79 yards and a TD. And who knows if he misses any time. It doesn't sound serious, so he's not out for the year, but it's still
going down the line,
being banged
Odell,
up.
He's got Odell, who's this year's been a boomer bust because there's so many pieces on that Cleveland offense. Bad. True.
Yeah. Well, and that offense has been so bad at times too. Everybody said they were going to put up video game numbers, and I knew. I was skeptical of it just because you brought in so many.
But that's pretty
new
much
pieces.
what you got there, but on the other side, I do see that there is multiple or at least one start that each of them have not They have 13 starts apiece, so we'll see what happens there. In this matchup, that could be the difference maker. I haven't seen who they have that they have not started yet. What do you think? What do you think about this one?
Because it's looking. I think it's going to go to the Raiders in the end because I like the boom potential in Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, and especially Chris Godwin. It's weird that he's in the flex. For me, at least, I'm more of a guy. I like to put my big names at their actual positions, and then I usually try and fill in the flex with the lower spots. So Chris Godwin is just kind of tucked away secretly in that flex spot, and I think he has a good game against Seattle because he's been really, really good this year. Obviously, he has a really high ceiling, but also the floor is lessened because he plays with Jameis Winston. But the fact that his lowest game in the last 4 weeks was 10.3 points, and that was against Tennessee, who's a decent defense. But his last 3 weeks before that, listen to this, 10 catches for 151, no touchdowns, 7 for 125 and 2 touchdowns, 12 for 172 and 2 touchdowns. He's going to blow up. Seattle's not the same Legion of Boom like they were 3-4 years ago. So Godwin could have a really good game, and it all depends on Winston.
Yeah,
I've got the Raiders winning
20
this one
points.
by,
I don't think.
I'm going to say at least a 30-point
both
lead.
sides have some have about the equal amount of good matchups and bad matchups. I did look. Both teams, it's only the kicker that they're missing. So if one of them puts in their kicker, that could make it a little closer. I saw the Saints did have a kicker that they could play on injured reserve, Josh Lambo. So that could make it a 15 point margin. But I don't think I don't think the Saints are going to win it either way.
Oh my god, imagine the shit that would go down if Kevin started just any kicker and gets a blow-up game from him, gets like 18 points out of him, and wins simply because Chris didn't start a kicker. Oh god, that would be the ultimate shit.
I don't know. I mean, Josh Lambo,
I could only imagine how that would go.
3 of his last 5 games,
he's had
happens, more than 10 points. He had 15 against Denver, 13 against Cincinnati, and 12 against the Jets. So who knows? Yep.
That's the Jaguars kicker, right? Yeah, and that Jaguars offense has been really, really fun, even though they have a 6th-round quarterback in Gardner Minshew starting. It's been a ton of fun to watch, and he is like a living meme, and it's great.
He brings
the
something
shorts,
different
the mustache,
to the NFL.
the swagger, I absolutely
very
love
different.
it. He is just a joy. To say the least. He's not cocky, he's not like a Baker Mayfield, but he's just got that swagger of, yeah, I'm here, I'm playing, I'm having fun type deal, and he's doing well. He doesn't have a rocket arm, but he's showing some decent potential. I mean, for a 6th-rounder, hell, why not? Tom Brady was. Not saying he's going to be Brady, but if he's running an offense looking like this,
if it's not a
impressive.
starter, he'll probably be a backup, but he's definitely something different.
He's definitely top half of the quarterback, I think, in this league right now, just because of
I've
when
kind
you
of thought
take
that
into
for a
account
little
the injuries
while.
and things like that.
Considering the injuries,
a lot of teams would love to have that guy on him.
But yeah,
so,
I agree with you.
Yeah. So let's move on to our second to last game, and it is my matchup with Mac, who unfortunately could not be here at this point, but he did provide his prediction. We'll get to that at the end of it. But just breaking this one down, it's weird because the Bills they've become such a different team than what they were at the beginning of the season. They obviously were starting Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders. They still are, but over the last few weeks, they've acquired Tyler Lockett, Aaron Jones, Zach Ertz, Marvin Jones Jr. he just got recently, and Dede Westbrook. This is a remade team. So, and especially with the trade deadline's gone, we'll talk about all the trades that went down next week. We'll talk about that in the early week. And so they're remade. I've made a few moves this year, not a whole lot, but this is honestly this could be the Zach Ertz revenge game, who's struggled recently, and just because I did trade him to him in that 3-way trade, but I'm looking in the way I'm feeling. I'm loving my matchup so far. Le'Veon Bell obviously taking on Miami. If he can't run the damn ball against Miami, it's gonna be a bust year for him, because this is the juiciest matchup right here. They should be leading. They should dominate.
Yeah.
And if he struggles against Miami because of that offensive line, it's going to definitely hurt his ceiling for the rest of the year. So I am worried about that. That's definitely on my games to watch in the early game, see how it goes at least. And obviously Saquon and Zeke, you expect them to perform to the top, and it's always fun when they go up against each other like they are this week with the Giants and Cowboys taking on each other in the Monday night game. Looking at some of the other matchups I've got, Kenny Golladay going against Oakland is a decent matchup, and then Allen Robinson I think is a sneaky start this week going against Philly, who obviously has been really, really good against the run, but that secondary's been banged up. So I'm looking at him as one of my sneaky starts for this week. He's actually been I think he's a wide receiver 2 this year on the season. He's within the top 24, I believe, just because he's been consistent. He's getting all the work for that receiving game for the this part. Tons of targets.
Everything that this comes
so I think
down
he's going to be a
is
difference maker in this
gonna be
matchup.
what your running backs do.
And then
Saquon Barkley, Le'Veon Bell, and Zeke Elliott, because I think your wide receivers and tight ends, I think between both of you, they'll even out. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Whether, say, Tyler Lockett has a big day. If he has a big day, I think Golladay or Hill's going to have a big day. So Galladay's got a wonderful matchup against the Oakland Raiders defense. So I see that. I see that's what it's going to come down to, and I just don't think Jordan Howard, Aaron Jones, and Miles Sanders are better than Saquon Barkley, Le'Veon Bell, and Zeke Elliott this week.
Although they've had their blow-up games, and the fact that Jordan Howard's going to be in a lather for this matchup going against a team that traded him away,
it's going to be one of the
struggles
others.
With the run game. He's looking for it. But if Philly's up, I don't see Miles Sanders getting a ton of work. For the most part, it caps his ceiling, but there should be plenty of work for both those running backs.
Yeah.
And then obviously he has Aaron Jones. I've got Jamal Williams. That'll be a good storyline for this one because they've both been performing. Jones obviously getting more of the touches and more of the blow-up games.
Darren
but Jamal
Waller,
Williams still has been a good piece of that offense and looks like he'll continue to be that.
I really do. I don't know if he's going to score a ton, but I do. He's been hot off and on this year. Last 3 weeks, he's only had one 10-plus point game, but I still think he's going against the Detroit defense. I think what's going to win or lose you this game, I think it's Le'Veon Bell. If Le'Veon Bell has not been that great this year, but is playing the Miami defense, if he can have a 30-point game, I don't think the Bills have a chance. If he just tanks it again and just scores 5 or 6 points, I think the Bills have a really good chance.
I agree with you there, and it'll be fun because we've got a lot of players going against each other. Obviously, my Golladay, his Marvin Jones. Because he's got obviously Alshon and Ertz, and I've got Allen Robinson and David Montgomery. You've got some matchups intertwining here that will make for some good storylines. But you've got DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel taking on Tennessee, which worries me. But we'll have to wait and see because Tennessee's a decent defense, and the Panthers do struggle at offense.
Well, then you
especially
I think
Kyle
another
Allen
interesting
had his
storyline here.
Struggle game last week, so we'll have to see what happens
is John
here
Brown
against
going
a
against the
decent
Washington
Tennessee
Redskins. And John Brown has scored 10 points in 5 straight
along with
games.
Josh Allen.
I don't think that ends here. I think
it's a good
get
stack
15
right there.
points. I see this as a 10-point margin. I think it goes in your favor because of Le'Veon playing the Miami Dolphins. I think Bell should have a 20 to 30-point game is what he should have against the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually sweating about this game a bit, partly because I don't know which quarterback to start, because none of them really have that high of a ceiling. Nobody's playing a bad defense or whatever. Nobody's been really streaky recently, so I'm starting Daniel Jones, and we'll have to wait and see. Mac has his team winning. He did not state
he's pretty much
how much he thought he would win by, but I think he's calling for a close
I just
game.
don't see it.
So
I don't
we'll have
see
to wait and see on that.
That one matchup
and then
is just too good. It's just
go ahead.
too good to let you down again.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But we'll see. Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, I'm hoping for Bell, but we'll wait and see. So we'll move on to yours, and you're playing the Patriots. This is a quick question I have for you. Did you ever think that you would be in this close of a matchup with New England? That's an honest question. Especially since you did have one start for 24
right now
points, so that does
after I
go
updated
into
my lineup,
your
it's now a 6
projections
point lead.
as well.
But still,
the
I
fact that
did.
you are
Either
still
way,
predicted to barely win by a point
yeah.
after Emmanuel
So
Sanders'
either way, I
24-point
didn't
game.
expect to be in a 6-point matchup 3-4 weeks ago with the New England Patriots.
Okay, so you updated it.
I don't think it's going to be that close, and I'll tell you why in a second. But it's tough because I've sold off a lot of my pieces, and I have a lot of bye weeks between Devontae Freeman. There's a couple. Calvin Ridley. I'm looking at it now. Antonio Brown, that's been on a bye week for 7 weeks.
Yeah, you've got some decent offenses that are missing pieces this week because this is the bye week hell this week. I think it's the worst one. Yeah. Oh,
I know. I'm hoping he comes back next year, but
God, how fast that changed. I still forgot. I actually forgot about him because it's been so quiet.
Because if I cut him,
crazy.
He's gonna sign with somebody, and I'm gonna.
It's a decent hold.
Being the fact I gave away 3 picks for him. But anyway, back to the matchup. Here's what I like about it. I'll tell you what I like, and then I'll tell you what I hate about my matchup. I like Russell Wilson going against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's defense is not that good. It's like, yeah. I should say their line's really good, but they're other than that.
Well, against the air attack, they're not. They're number one against the
Russell
run,
Wilson's
which
gonna
is
have a
crazy,
really good game.
But, yeah.
Another one I like, I'm just going down the list. I do like Juju Smith-Schuster going against the Colts. I don't think it's an awesome matchup, but I do think he's going to get some favorable. He's going to have favorable. I think he's going to have about. Yeah, that's the way to put it. I like Demaryius Thomas if he plays against the Miami Dolphins.
He's going to have a decent matchup there against the cornerback.
The Miami Dolphins are not a good defense. They're not a good offense. I like him. And besides that, of course, Emmanuel Sanders has already played. Besides that, I don't have great matchups. Derrick Henry, if I can get his projected total, I'll be great. What's going to make or break me is my running backs, my 2 other running backs, Mark Walton and DeAndre Washington, that I just...
Which Mark Walton was a good pickup. The fact that, I mean, he's playing an okay Jets defense, but he's going to be the starting running back for the Dolphins, and it's not a great offense, but it's a starting running back.
Renfro's projected to only score 6 points, but last week,
so as much as it hurts to play him, at least you've got somebody
against the
that's
Houston
a starter.
Texans. So I have some hope for him to get at least 10 points. I have some hope, but I also have some very bad matchups.
I think it's tough because it's Detroit, but it's also Renfro is just kind of getting worked into that offense, it seems. He wasn't as big of a part of it as we thought he would be going into the season. So he's got some potential to blow up and get a double-digit point game, and if you can, I think you can win. But I think a lot of it's going to rest on obviously Russell Wilson having a big day, and Derrick Henry. And I think a sneaky start here, though, is Deshaun Hamilton. He had a bad week last week, only had one target and missed it. But he's a sneaky start in PPR, in which we are. So I think he's going to be decent. But, I mean, looking at the Patriots real quick, he's got some players who have blown up recently. Obviously, Julian Edelman and Tom Brady have been pretty good this year. Burkhead's had his ups and downs depending on if he's healthy. But a lot of his good guys are facing mediocre matchups. Yeah, like Adrian Peterson, he's going to get the ball, but he's going to struggle against Buffalo. DJ Chark is a really good start this week. I've got him within the top 12 in production this week against a Houston defense that is not the same, especially with J.J. Watt out for the season. And then Julian Edelman, always consistent. And then DK Metcalf is a good start here, which will hurt you because if there's a long bomb or even just the fact that Metcalf's usual line is 2 for 24 and a touchdown or 3 for 30. I mean, he's been scoring touchdowns, and he's a red zone threat, and that's going to make it hard on you because that's a 2-point swing in his favor. So, I like your matchup.
The thing
I
that saves me
pull
is
this out
the
by
New
a
England
little bit,
Patriots
especially
going
with
against
Mark
the
Andrews
Baltimore
with the
Ravens
Baltimore
this
Ravens
week.
taking on New England.
I mean, that's the only
England
reason
so
I would say I'm
scary good.
probably going to win. I think I might win by 15 points. I would say I win a little more by the 6 points I'm projected to win by, but it's going to be close. It's going to be close either way, which is exactly. Do you think so? I mean, that wouldn't shock me. That wouldn't shock me. I hope it's not.
It's going to be closer than you want. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be single digits. I think that's what I've got. Yeah. It's mostly just because bye weeks are killing you, and you don't have the blow-up potential from a lot of guys. So that's why I'm a little nervous about calling for a big win. And his team's been playing up to form with some decent waiver wire pickups.
For a second, I play you next week. I'm gonna lose. I have no chance. Week 11, I play the Dolphins. That's 50-50. If he sets his lineup, it's gonna be a closer game. But I could probably win that game. Weeks. Yeah.
Well, the fact, even just without looking at the matchups, the fact that, okay, we've got the Dolphins losing, so that bumps them down. But
I can't drop this
you've got
one.
two other teams,
I
the
cannot
Saints and the
drop
Bills,
this game. I cannot drop this game if I'm
we
gonna
project
make the
them to both
playoffs,
lose this week, so that
next
does
week
work
I'm losing.
in your favor
I'm losing
if
against
do
you.
drop
It's probably going to be a blowout. Even though we always play closer matchups than for some reason. Yeah, and I don't think that changes this week or next week. I just think I still think you're gonna blow me out. I just think it's
then what
not
going to
be in the 200s. I think you'll probably get like 180, just because for some reason your team doesn't play as well when it plays me. Yeah, exactly. But
I don't know what it is. There's some bad vibes there, but it does tend to work in your favor to where you're not quitting after the 1 a.m. games.
Yep.
All right, that's NFL for you. Let's move on over to the rink and talk about do a quick midweek review. And damn it, I totally forgot that Phil Kessel got dropped. I'm going to start that off. The Stars dropped Phil Kessel earlier this week. Of course, Mac and his Minnesota Wild pounced on that. I couldn't find someone I wanted to drop for Phil Kessel, who probably should still be owned at this point. And the fact that Mac got him for... I'm looking at how much, because that's something that I just saw. I forgot that he got dropped, and that is my bet. He got him for $24. Okay.
Oh, that's
a decent pickup.
Drops,
I mean, Phil Kessel, even though he's in Arizona,
the
hasn't
trade
been
that
living
was
up to his
gonna
name,
happen,
but you got to
where I was
going to
send Derrick Henry to New Orleans,
rise to the cream of the crop at some point.
My second goalie, and I only had two. I'm trying to remember. Hold on, I'm pulling it up. Yeah. Martin Jones. Dropped Martin Jones. Yeah.
You picked
because
up. I know you picked up
for sure that trade was going to go through
I had him last year
until
for a
it
while.
didn't
He was
go
hot.
through
He's a
because
good
of
play
some
at times.
crazy
You dropped
rule
Martin
in
Jones.
place that allowed the Saints to cancel the trade because of my project. Because who has a no? It's the fact of losing the start. It's what I'm talking about. I mean,
that really didn't hurt you though.
he only has 28
well.
points on the year, but
Martin Jones.
But just like I did last week, I only had a .5 win against.
He had point.
Max
He had point
Wild,
2 though.
so
I think. Point
you
2
never
or
know.
point
but yeah, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mac. Oh yeah. Well, let's get into the biggest blow ups so far. I mean, obviously, there's two that are basically on bye week this week with the Ducks and the Predators. We're not going to spend much time on these. The Ducks sit at 245 while the Maple Leafs are just about to crack 100 probably tonight. And Draisaitl's been great for the Ducks all year. I think that was a really sneaky off-season move for them. I thought Draisaitl wasn't going to be as highly ranked as he was, but that was a good pickup for them.
Yeah, they would be. Yeah.
There's not a lot
a
to
lot
say
of us
about
are
this.
going
The
to be
Maple
tied
Leafs
for
don't
first,
have any
like,
chance
4
of coming
again.
back in this matchup. It's all
I
the
think
Ducks,
it's going to be
and
the
they are
4
going
of
to
us.
move on to.
If the Avalanche
3-1
lose,
at this
it's going
point,
to be
they would be
them, me, you, and the Ducks, and possibly the Predators too. I mean, the Predators probably going to be 3-1. But we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about them in a few minutes. But yeah, it's going to be super tight.
And they've been sneaky good this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Draisaitl's
really.
carried the Ducks so far. He's
Kevin
already got
hasn't had
30
any
points in
great
this matchup, so
performances,
that one's over. And moving to the Preds and the Rangers, there's not a lot to talk about. I mean, do you have anything you really want to say about this matchup, Chris?
If it had been closer, I would say that's tough. But of course, Vic didn't set his lineup, so there's not a lot to talk about.
Yeah, and I mean, I got to give Kevin some credit real quick. The fact that he was able to pick up a guy in JT Miller who's got 19 points on the week. Colton Sissons has been a big surprise for Nashville at 13 points this week. He's been hurt a little bit by Evander Kane going negative, but he really didn't need anything huge this week with the Rangers struggling to even crack 100 after almost a full week of play.
It's looking less than 50-50.
Not much to talk about there. So let's get to our matchup, Chris. The one that you predicted you were going to say that you were going to remain undefeated in. It's not looking good for you. I'll say that much. I lead. I thought it was going to be 50-50 earlier this week, but after the last couple of nights, it's not even on you. It's on your players that decided to just throw you the middle finger after everything. Because I think we were within 15 points of each other earlier this week, and then you had, especially after Palmier's 21-point night, which then he just decided, fuck it, I need to balance this out, because he then went negative
and two of them are more than 5
next
points,
night, and that hurts. Like,
I don't. It's been tough, and I haven't had a great week out of Backstorm or Sidney Crosby, so I just Jamie Benn even. He hasn't even broke 10 points, so I'm gonna need some really good play tonight if I'm gonna even have a chance in going into Sunday, and I'm gonna need your team to have some negatives. Yeah, or not even maybe that, but just not perform tonight. If we want to make this a little bit closer. But realistically, I'm done.
Get into the penalty box, yeah. Yeah, the fact that Logan Couture has 14 penalty minutes and
that would be
Palmieri
realistic to come back from
on the week. That's
60?
a 31-point swing, if I remember our scoring correctly. And that would put you at, 31 real quick would be 1-8. Yeah, you'd be about 30 points away from me. So, and And the fact that Patrick Kane has helped you. He's only got 2 shots on goal this week, 1 block, and 4 penalty minutes. So that's obviously hurt me
It's
a
just
lot.
all this.
But,
These,
I mean, it's
my loss.
my team's
and we'll talk about
finally playing decently all around. I haven't had a big blow-up game, but everyone's kind of finally performing.
Yeah,
so I'm happy with that.
Well,
so
yeah, the Kings and the Avalanche. And this is interesting.
Go ahead. Well,
because,
and then go ahead into our next matchup. So while you're talking about that, of the possible first place tie.
Don't pronounce perfectly, but Brad Marchand, yeah, Marchand, yeah, he had negative 5.5 on the week, but yeah. Yeah, so he's had some tough luck. It hasn't been all great for the Chris's Kings, but he has had Alex
and he's usually a guy that's
have
good for probably
26.3
12
on
to 15
the week, and then
in a weekly matchup like
Randall
this. He's usually a double-digit
had 30. Yeah, yeah. And he's had really great play out of his defensive men. 10 plus from most of them. Goalie play hasn't been too awesome, but it's not bad. He's had an overall
he's played really, really
good
well.
week. Talking about the Kings.
The fact that this game should be a bigger blowout than it actually is, because if Marchand performs to where he usually is, we're talking about the Kings looking at a 210 to 185 matchup. Right now it's 198 to 185.
The Kings do have 4 on their bench.
The Avalanche do have
Sunday,
the advantage, like you pointed out, that currently they do have 16 starts remaining to the
they're
Kings'
going to be doing
11.
pretty well.
So we'll have to see. That'll only be a one start advantage to the Avalanche. So I'm gonna end up taking the Kings in this one. I think they win it overall, just because they do have some of their big guys still to play. You've got Marchand plays tonight, so he's got a chance to get out of the negatives. You've got Ovechkin playing tomorrow, and he's always good for goals. He's one of the best hockey players out there. You've got some really good starts left in this week, and if Radulov, especially, he starts tonight as well again in Dallas against Montreal. I'm trying to see if he has a start tomorrow as well. I doubt it, because I don't think any teams had 4 games this week.
The thing that's hurt Colorado so much is
his next game is Tuesday.
Thomas
so
Chabot's
Radulov,
injury,
if he can play as well as he has been again tonight, it's going to make it hard for Colorado to
general defense
try and climb that ladder that we've got going right now.
And Hedman's also injured. They just haven't had that great of play out of their defensemen. I mean,
it's a big blow
at all. I mean, Brett Burns and John Carlson is the only 2 players that have broke 10 points, and they're at 12 and 14.7 respectively. And there's been no breakout performances out of the Colorado Avalanche, and that's going to hurt them this week, because I do think they're going to drop this game. If the Kings set their lineup tomorrow, I would say the Kings will win. Yep.
Yeah, and it'll be fun, because Keith and I ran the league pretty well last year. The fact that he and I were both kind of 1 and 2 most of the season, but it's going to be a big mashup, and I think, especially with the Ducks and the fact that you'll have a 3-way tie in the Belfour division with the Avalanche, Ducks, and Nashville Predators all sitting at 3-1, and then you and me, and finally the Dallas Stars could be in the 3-1 position. So we could have 6 teams all sitting at the same record. So mentioning the Stars, they currently trail to the Minnesota Wild, only by about 10 points, 171.9 to 181.8, so 9.9 points right now. And the Wild have been carried by 2 players this week, Elias Peterson and Brock Bozer are sitting at more than 30 points each. The rest of his team has really struggled.
But
Nikolaj
Wild,
Ehlers, who you just got recently, obviously did well. Taylor Hall played well, but he's had a lot of guys disappear this week. So had Patterson and Bozer not stepped it up, we'd be looking at a much different matchup here.
I mean, they haven't had too many great plays out of their players. I mean, Horvat's 22. Other than that, it's single digits all the way down, except for Tartar, and he has 12. And that's it.
Yeah, what's hurt? And a lot of that has been just his defense. John Klingberg hasn't done much. Mike Green. Marc-Andre Fleury, obviously, getting hurt and not playing well has hurt him in his goalie situation. But he's had some guys really struggle. Oh, Mika Zibanejad, who's always good for double digits. He's been hurt recently, so that hurts his overall ceiling. But overall, I like what the Stars are doing. And I know Mac has sold off pieces of his Minnesota Wild, but it's kind of the same reason I sold off depth in MLB. I know the sport well. I feel like I can move along some mediocre or middling pieces, at least in my mind, and find some equal talent on the waiver wire. Or at least if I don't, I can cycle through it if need be and try and find that one piece that does fit. I think that's why Mac is doing what he's doing, because he feels so confident in his hockey prowess to be able to make up for the pieces that he does give away.
I think it's I'm looking at the Wild because their matchup right now, because they have 13 starts to
So
the
what's your
Stars
prediction?
16,
Do you think the Wild lose another close game after dropping that half-point game to you, or do they take this one away from
prediction.
Dallas?
I think they have one guy. They have one guy to start tomorrow.
I'm going to give it to Dallas. I think because it's 10 points and because Dallas does have the two-man advantage then, I like what Horvat's been doing. He plays San Jose tonight. He's got some decent starts coming up.
The two starts difference for tomorrow is going to be a
Stars
big
pull
deal
this
for
one
the
out and drop
Stars
Minnesota
and Wild
to
in this
0-4.
matchup. Unfortunately for the Wild, I do think
I'm going to call for the 0-4 start of the Minnesota Wild.
No, it's just too much to. I don't think they can hold a 10-point lead. I really don't. They're gonna need a really good night tonight, but I just don't see it. And they just.
Ooh, you're gonna go with me. I thought you were gonna go against me here, but all right, I'll take it. I'll take you on my side.
This is just a loss waiting to happen for the Wild. I believe that. So, Wild 0-4, and I think we have a 5 to 6 way tie at 3-1. 6 way, yeah. If.
If the Stars pull it off, it'll be a 6-way tie.
And of course, I mean, the Wild are the best.
It's so weird because it'll be 6-3-1 teams. You'll have
the Wild are the best
0-4
team, and it's not even close.
Whoever has the
I do believe that
record out there,
and they're going to be the only team
for the league
that could do it in NFL and NHL that start 0-4 that could have a chance to come back and make the playoffs, because their team is a decent team, and like you said earlier, Mac has the NHL's knowledge that he knows what he's doing. So I think he has. I think he's not out of it, but 0-4 sucks. That too, yeah. The luck has killed his team. I mean, it really has. He lost to 0.5 to me, so that just tells you. And I didn't have a great week last week. I had a very bad week, just like this week. I haven't had a great week.
He's just had no luck so far with some of his plays this season. So
I'll be all right for this rough stretch I'm about to go through with you and the Avalanche. But yeah, that's all I've got for this, for the NHL. Yeah.
Yep. So
Stunning.
So let's move on. Let's move on to NBA, where we've actually got a lot of blowouts, and it's not too surprising based on the matchups. I mean, the Knicks are looking to continue their winning streak, and at this point, it's not going to be close. They lead by over 100 in rebounds, over 100 in assists, 10 in steals.
There's not really a whole lot to talk about.
It's not a close matchup.
I
That's going to end up probably 7-2, maybe 8-1 for the Knicks. Based on field goal percentage, that's the one thing that's going to swing
that's a pretty
between the
tough
two
one
teams.
as well.
So wait and see what happens there. Anything you want to say on this one?
Timberwolves have a chance, but it's looking better than the last with the Knicks. Looking at it, it looks like the Raptors are only up by 3 in steals, which is quite surprising with their team. The 3-point line, it looks like that's over. The only ones to me that look like the Wild could, Timberwolves. You used to talk about the Wild. Now the Timberwolves could come back from they've got a chance in steals. They've got a chance in blocks. Even they're down by 5 in blocks. No, they're up by 5 in blocks. They're up by 5 in blocks. Turnovers is always tough. I mean, that could go either way. But I think the Raptors are going to lose turnovers. But other than that, steals are the only one I can see.
No, they're
the Raptors
leading blocks right now.
Coming
They
back
lead
for.
blocks.
So the best case scenario is 5-4. No.
Mm-hmm. Right, and they're not getting trounced. I mean, even points, they only trail by 100, which to the Raptors is a bit of a surprise that they are only
and maybe best case
that they're only
scenario
100
happens
points behind there. They're close in assists,
Raptors,
which is
and that would be
20,
about
20 assists, rebounds. I mean, the Timberwolves are playing some decent ball, but they're going to lose this week, unfortunately. But they've given the Raptors a decent run. I'll give them that much.
Not bad.
So.
Huh. Now, I do want to say this.
Right.
Between the
and to walk
Knicks
away
and
6,
even
if you walk away 3-6-0 against the defending
Toronto
champs,
Raptors,
that's not a bad week whatsoever, especially with everything that the Raptors
have
put into their team, both off-season and during the season last year as well.
The Knicks are really, really good. Yeah, exactly. I do not think if Vic continues to set his lineup, I think he runs away with the league. I don't know. What do you feel about that? I mean, just for a second, we can talk about it.
Because he put a lot into it last year, and well, I feel like I'd have to look, but I'm checking now. Just kind of, I want to see what it had season-wise stats. But I think you're right. I mean, it would be a lot closer than it was last year, just simply due to the fact that.
Glad he's not in
my
division.
Vic put a lot into his team. He had some really shitty luck last year, and also the fact that he wasn't setting his lineup. I don't think. I'm trying to find.
Right.
Yeah. So like right now. Pretty much everything except for, I mean, but between but I'm looking at the season stats, so they do it. I mean, you can look at the stat totals, but I'm looking at the stat points. So basically, like Roto, I mean, it's either the Nuggets or not. It's either the Knicks or the Raptors. If you look across, it's 10, 9, 9, 8, 8.5, 8, 5, and 3 for the Raptors. And so that would be like Roto points. And
I mean, he would
10,
Sweat.
9,
I mean,
10, 10,
maybe
9,
maybe even a little more than Sweat.
So
I think
it's really close. They play very, very well in all
and
categories.
I know it's way too early to
teams.
say
and I think
but
if
as
Vic
of
did
right
set his lineup
today,
in a matchup against
I would want to see
the
Knicks.
Jared would actually sweat.
Raptors matchup in the finals. Yeah, I mean, assuming nobody else gets any great pieces or everybody else stands the way they are, because I don't feel like 8 of us have I feel like we have a chance, but not that great of a chance. But we'll see. We'll see. I just wanted to see what you thought about that.
That would actually be a fun one if they could get there.
Yeah.
I feel like the Knicks got forgot about because of last
long
season.
time,
Because I know we
apparently.
forgot about his lineup a lot of the times, but he also suffered a lot of injuries. So I think they are a sneaky team
that's a
for
while.
this year.
We'll see
Let's
if Vic's still setting his.
So the first time they faced
We'll see if
off
Vic's still
is
setting his
in
lineup by then.
God damn.
Yeah.
What the hell? Yeah, week 9. There it is. Yeah, we've got a while till
this
that
one's
one
actually
starts.
pretty close too, and a lot of the
But
in a lot of
that'll
the
be a good one.
categories,
So let's move on.
well,
Since you mentioned
actually, I
Denver,
say that, but
let's
I'm
move
double
on to their game
I'm
against
double
the
looking, and
Pelicans.
it's really
Nuggets
not that
versus
close.
Pelicans.
I don't know what I was looking
Get
at.
my computer to work here. Why don't you talk about that while I get it pulled up here? Mm-hmm.
But it's a far
Really,
stretch.
The only ones. I mean, it's you've got free throw percentage that's within
True.
reach. The 3-point category is still obviously available for the New Orleans Pelicans. If they can get some from beyond the arc today, they could close that one. Steals, yeah. I mean, eight 3-pointers. It's sometimes you got guys that go super cold, and sometimes, I mean, especially a guy like JJ Redick, he's hit 3-pointers already today.
It could vary.
He's got some options, and then
It could be
steals, blocks.
There's a
are
decent
both
chance
within
it's
single
5
digits,
to 4,
so those
and
could
there's
go
a decent
either way.
chance
I
it's
think
8
the
to 1
Pelicans have a
because
chance to go 5 and 4, but
I'm
I
looking
think
at
it's
it now.
going to
Steals
stick.
is only within 6.
They may
and
drop
the
to 7 and 2 depending on what the Nuggets do in terms of steals.
0.9%,
But the Pelicans could take blocks.
This
back,
could
so
go
we'll
either
see.
way. I mean, this is as good of a chance of it going 8 to 1 as it is 5 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 100%
you're actually
chance
really
the
right
Nuggets
about
win.
that.
It's just a
So
matter
we'll
of
have to wait
5
and see.
to
I
4
think
or is it
Denver
8
pulls
to
it out.
1?
I like them, especially
That's
with
really what we're
Pascal
coming down
with
to.
Pascal Siakam playing tonight, and obviously Giannis Antetokounmpo. You can't argue with there. He's going to dominate
Ooh.
as he does most games. So I've got the Nuggets winning this one. Mm-hmm. Which, mentioning 8 to 1, this has changed since we started recording this podcast. The Lakers and the Bucks was much closer. That was a 6 to 3 game, and currently with partly because Chris Paul, Josh Hart are playing for the Lakers right now, while Alexander Walker are playing for the Bucks. Lakers have the start advantage tonight, but they are dominating most categories. 3-pointers they've got by double digits. Same with rebounds. Assists is very close. Same are steals and blocks.
Well, realistically, looking at it,
assists and
steals
steals are going to be
could
the
go either
closest
way.
ones. Same with
turnovers is
really,
most
it's
likely Lakers going to lose.
kind of
that
like
one,
the last
but
matchup. I could
it
see
is
this
within
one dropping
12,
all the way
so
down to a 6
we'll
and 3
see
or
on
5
that
to 4
one, but
win
I'll
based
say
on how the
Lakers
Bucks
lose that
play.
one.
With
Other
Fournier
than that,
and
we're looking
Dario
at
Saric
10
still
plus
left
point
to-
margin on every single one. The only thing I could see possibly changing is the Bucks winning the field goal percentage, and that's looking far stretched. So this is looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh,
I don't
did
think it's
see-
that far of a
assist, I
stretch.
did
I
miss
mean,
that. So
0.19 is
best case
0.019.
scenario here
that
is
could
for
go.
the Bucks
I mean,
is
if
a
somebody
3 to
shoots well
6
tonight,
loss.
especially
The worst
with
case,
the
the worst
bigs
case
of the
scenario,
Bucks playing
unfortunately,
tonight,
is
they
an
usually have a
0-9
higher field goal
loss.
percentage, so they've got a chance. But the fact that steals and assists are single digits, that really bounces either way.
Yeah, I agree. It's unlikely, but that I mean, there is a slim chance there. But yeah, that's what Lakers win though for sure.
I don't see that because the Bucks, they're gonna have a hard time losing that turnover category with
Yeah, I know.
12 turnover advantage at least.
But but they're not.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the NHL would have been close. And This one is
So
close.
let's get
this
to
one,
our
there's
matchup
a
because it's the
reason
closest
why
one on the week, and I feel like we're talking about our matchups a lot this week. Even though it's just you and me, it's not on purpose. It's just the way it's worked out,
Yeah.
and it's
No.
mm-hmm. The fact you and I are separated by .011 for field goal percentage, 2 3-pointers. Free throw percentage has definitely been decided. That's not going to change this late in the week. But you've got a 31-point trail in rebounds. You've got assists. Steals is leaning towards you at this point, but I've got blocks. It's going to come down to 3-pointers, to field goal percentage and points. Most likely, if one of us wins 5-4. I just don't know which way it's going to go because you have the start advantage, although I have not looked at mine for tomorrow. So, and Draymond Green not playing tonight.
Mainly rebounds. I would say rebounds
because
he's averaging 7.8 rebounds
right now. Yeah, he's out indefinitely.
Other than
so
that,
he's out
though,
against the Hornets tonight. That is a blow to you.
Points. I think I'm going to win points just because
it hurts
I have
more in
start
categories like
unless
assists,
you have anybody on
which
your bench.
you already have tied up, so it's not a big
Steals
swing there.
Looking like
he hasn't been
that's
scoring
lean
a
me.
ton, so
I think
yeah.
Assists lean me. You're going to win the rebounds, that's for sure. Field goal percentage and points is what's going to come down to, though. That's what I'm thinking. And the 3-points made, but with me having more starts, I feel like I'll probably win that one. But true. But I do have I did look at that too. I do have Kyle Lowry and Andrew Wiggins.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. No, true. Yeah, I think that one's going to be tight though. But I do think
you may have the start advantage. But if you have guys that don't
points,
really go
I think
for
I take a
3-pointers,
slight advantage. But I only have 4. I'm only up by 4 points on that one, so it wouldn't surprise me before the end of the night.
I do have Buddy Hield going tomorrow though, with his 3.2 per game. So we'll have to wait and see.
You do have, let's see, 6 guys on your bench.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm locking it in. I'm calling for the upset. I'm gonna take this 5-4. I think I will. I don't know.
And I only have 1 on my bench. But really, if you think about it, we only are going to have a 1 start difference between each other. But I could see that with the points the way it is right now. We only have
Marcus Morris.
4 points. That's going to be the difference. I'm
calling for the upset right now. It's not going to be a by a lot. It's going to be by a nut hair. But I'm going to call for it.
Oh my. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4 points. Literally 4 points is going to be fun, and I might actually watch some damn basketball
I'll probably
tomorrow,
watch a lot of NFL,
just because it is against you.
I
don't know which game I'd watch.
True.
But, looking right now, it'd probably be the Clipper or Sacramento and New York. I'd probably watch at this point because I do have a lot of players in that one. So. Oh yeah. Well, these are later games, so.
No,
I'm excited for the way our matchup's going to go. Maybe your NHL team can come back, but I feel like this is pretty smooth for our first midweek review.
Considering it is our first midweek, and I agree. I would just go with what you said.
But I think it's going to be a fun one. I think it went pretty smooth this one. You got anything else for the rest of the week?
I agree with you, and there's going to be a lot to talk about midweek or our early week podcast next week. So
we'll see what happens, and we'll be back early next week, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. And I'm excited to see, especially what happens in NHL with the way that those matchups were sitting. So. Oh, absolutely.
We'll
so that's it for the Hall of Fame Dynasty podcast. I'm John signing out, and that's Chris over there. And I'm going to tell you that the Buffalo Bills wagons are going to burn this week against Mac. His wagons are going to fall off the wheels, and that's going to be that, dropping him to 4-5.